Okay, so very excited to be speaking with Burst today. It's been a long time coming, really. Burst is a Gamma Partner artist. He's an OG crypto artist, an OG artist on Bitcoin. He's released, incredible work as a partner artist and with his partner, I suppose. I don't know if that's the wrong way of saying it. Stephen, who has worked with him for a lot of the work that he's done under Haha. But we're here to talk about you and you as a person, as an artist, and then we'll get to the Ordinals Yearbook, which is the collection we want to talk about. But yeah, enough from me, Burst. I'd love for you to introduce yourself. You can go right back in time. Like, when did you start? When did you realize you were creative? How did you get to this point? Feel free to really tell your story.
Hi, Brett. Thanks for having me today. And yeah, I mean, wow, that's a that's a big question. It's a that could entail a very long answer, but I will try to keep it brief and short. So I'm initially from Austria, born and raised here in Europe, Austria. Born into a very creative family. So my father is also a graphic designer, artist, painters, sculptural, and my mother, she worked in a record store and bookstore, and so I grew up actually all around me with books and art and music, and so initially I started playing the piano very early on as a kid, and yeah, had this classical piano drill from a very early age on, and I wanted to be like a pianist and a sort of like a rock star. Of course, as a teenager, all of us wanted to be rock stars, and so I played in many bands. I was touring actually with some of my bands in Europe, so in Germany mostly, and in Austria, and and in school I wasn't that good in school, so I dropped out. And went to the capital, to Vienna, started working in the capital, um, was very involved into the art scene, and fell in love with nightlife in the big city, and doing shows, doing events, doing parties, doing music videos, creating album covers, all of this. So it entailed like this very creative lifestyle, I would say. It was a sort of lifestyle, living in the capital, and working with a lot of creatives, photographers, videographers, designers, and stuff like that. And so it was really enriching for me, and also to finance this lifestyle. I was working in restoration. So thanks to a drummer friend of mine, his brother was actually one of the leading restorers of wall, and so in Austria, and so I ended up in different kind of assistant jobs, and very fast I was like traded almost between the workshops, as a helping hand, and I was working in wood and in metal and in wall, and actually eventually then on very prestigious projects, and I could finance this kind of lifestyle through that, which was amazing. And yeah, in my thread, on Twitter, on my pinned post, people can scroll through and read more in detail about all of this. But yeah, so that was very, how would you say, like, nurturing over the years and decades, and and then eventually, like, eventually my back then girlfriend, now wife, she decided after her studies for music therapy and psychotherapy to leave the country and go to the third world, go to Latin America, and start a project, working in an orphanage, spreading the seeds of therapy. And I joined her, and that's where I actually got in touch with crypto and crypto art, through a Venezuelan refugee, who was in Peru. So we ended up in Peru, and he also ended up in Peru, but for other reasons. Like, for him, it was due to the hyperinflation in Venezuela. and thanks to Bitcoin, he could flee his country and rescue his family, and that's how we met. We met on the streets. We met in a bar where we were jamming, actually on jam sessions, and then we started talking, and I was searching for a way to make money online, and he was talking to me about crypto art. So have you heard of crypto art? That's the next big thing, trust me. And I said like, no, I heard of crypto, but not of crypto art. And so that was the start of the rabbit hole. He became sort of like a mentor, and then I fell down the rabbit hole basically and became a monster, became Burst. So that's it in a nutshell. Prior to me entering the world of crypto, which was in 2019. So that was in 2019 when I applied to Super Rare. This was my first platform. And I got right away accepted, and my very first NFT I minted on Super Rare actually 2019. And then it was a very rapid growth. So it was a very fast exponential growth.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack there. Obviously, I'd love to go a little bit further back in time. Like you said, you grew up in a very creative household. You're around books, you're around music, and then you became a musician yourself. How do you think that has impacted you now in the way in which you create, or has it?
Um, a lot actually, and in another interview, I was asked a similar question, and so that was for the first time in a very long time that I thought about actually how enriching and how important that actually was, that kind of home and the support from my parents. So actually, it's funny. I don't know how much you can hear, but they arrived just now visiting my wife and the baby. But it was yeah, like they supported me from the get-go, like very early. I was 6 7 years old. I got my first music lessons, and my father, he was at home and always painting. So I remember the books of Picasso and Miro laying on the floor, and he himself painting his own creations, his own composition, so to speak. So so yeah, because and it's interesting because I remembered that I had a wrong memory stored in my brain. So I thought they put me into besides school, besides school, on afternoons that I had to go to a separate school and paint. So I thought for a very long time that I was bad in painting, and that's why they sent me into this afternoon school. But that was a wrong memory. Actually, it was a school for highly talented kids, and so I went there and was actually like getting a scholarship, so to speak. So, and I was very young. That's why I maybe had the wrong memory. So with also very young, like 6 7 8 9, and yeah. So definitely my parents and the environment, going into the bookstore and getting lost within books and CDs back then. VHS and CDs was important. So I remember, and they had my mother had in the back. On a CD player, and so I could go and just search for a CD, go into the back of the office, and all afternoon, basically all afternoon, I was spending in the record store and bookstore, and when my mother closed the store, we left the store together, and after school, around midday, I got into her store and got lost again the whole afternoon. So 100%, that was very crucial in growing up. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting how those sorts of early experiences can really, I guess, shape you in a way, maybe not even consciously until you think about it. And I'd love to learn a little bit more here, get you to expand on that time when you moved to the capital and you were, meeting creatives and I assume, partying pretty late, but also, I guess, enriching that creative spirit even more. Yeah, tell us about that time and perhaps, again, how that, has influenced you in your current work or just the way in which you pursue your work.
I mean, since I was a dropout, I wanted to leave my home as fast as possible. And so with 19 or 20, that was actually late, but still, I was moving out. And the first year, I was struggling a lot. So I wasn't make it. Actually, to be honest, yeah, it was a very rough and hard time. And so I eventually had to move back to my parents. So with coming back home with my head looking at the ground and so and then but soon a second time I moved out, and but that time I was prepared and found a job actually right away as a restorer. So thanks to my drummer buddy from one of my bands, he introduced me to his brother, who was very big in this world, and that's how I knew that the second time, if I'm moving into the capital, I need a plan, I need a job right away, even before moving, and and so that was a very good lesson as well, with in my early 20s, and yeah, and then it was amazing because I was coming from one rehearsal into the next rehearsal and meeting so much different kind of people. Having so much different kind of opportunities, and it was all with music and bands, it's like you have to do so much, like if you're DIY, and that was also very important, I guess, that we did everything ourselves. So it was DIY, like from the rehearsals to recording to mixing, mastering, to thinking about a music video, thinking about the album cover, the whole IP, so to speak, the branding of it. That was a lot. That was a lot, and then even promoting our own shows, even organizing our own tour. So we were like the bands I was playing in. It was really DIY. So like from the beginning to the end, we did everything ourselves. That was, I would say, the real school, the real lessons learned there, to what it means to how do you promote yourself, how do you sell what you're doing actually, marketing. And it was at a time when actually Facebook and all the social media was very new. So it was still not many years around, right? So that was still a thing developing. And while that developed, we were already using the new media, and we learned as those social media platforms themselves grew at the same time. So that was very interesting, and a time of changes, many different changes. So we still, with our bands, SMS was very important, like messages, and WhatsApp wasn't around. Imagine that. So WhatsApp wasn't around. There was no Telegram, no Discord. So SMS was very important. Emails were very important. So a different world. Actually, we cannot imagine today how that was. So, but it was great. And flyers. We did a lot of physical posters, physical flyers, stuff like that. So the physical world was still more present, I would say. And it was this direct communication, that you meet with certain people, and you connect groups, and then you go to meetups. That was very important. And to connect with other bands and with bookers and with managers, that was uh, that was a very important thing to do. So yeah, a very interesting time. Let's say let's say that at least. And yeah, I could expand on so many different fronts. It was I loved, like I stayed up very late. I was consuming. I was learning a lot about different kind of genres, also within art. So then actually the second time when I moved and started working restoration, I did also start to paint more and draw more, and I did it for myself mainly. And as I mentioned, I did album covers. So yeah, that's where actually the first beginnings of Burst started, and the haha cards, which you can see here on the left side from me in this weird mock-up. um, it started there actually, like 2013, when I moved to Vienna. My father gave me a stack of photo paper, and said, "Boy, do continue, do something with it," and that's where yeah, the collection of haha cards actually started.
Yeah, well, I was going to say there's huge parallels or crossover between music, call it, that and like audio or auditory art and then visual art, if we want to sort of like put them in those umbrellas. It's all art. And yeah, so it sounds like all of that experience and sort of cutting your teeth and doing all of that learning has kind of like set you up for this Web3 scene. And I know it may or may not have crossed your mind, but we can see the artwork behind you. There's almost that like flyer aspect to it. So, you would have been creating art for the flyers, you would have been creating art for the cover art, the album art. So, like you said, Haha started in 2013. Was it called Haha then? What are the origins of Haha?
No,
It's
yeah,
synonymous with you.
yes, yes. I mean, not at all. Many, many years later, actually, I started to incorporate haha and writing, actually starting to write haha within my work. So um, early on, like when you check out the haha cards, you see it's almost like a diary. It's like different kind of people, environments, certain streets, nightlife, doubts, fears, anxiety, but also high life, like being ecstatic, stuff like that. So it was definitely fueled by those years, in the first years, I would say. And then I'm not sure which year, but 2016, 17, sometime around that, maybe more 16, 17. I moved, so I moved. I had a bad breakup, and then I moved into a new apartment, a very little one, so a one man apartment in Vienna, and then I that was the explosion of, like, chaotic, but it wasn't like it was one room. In one corner I had a mattress, but besides that the whole room was just like a studio, a workshop, and everything in one, like a recording studio and a painting studio and everything in one, so uh, and then I remember sitting on my desk, listening to a great band, and there was a big painting laying on the floor. And what I did back then, also sometimes still doing it, is I use gaffer tape, duct tape, within my work, because gaffer tape and duct tape was very important as a musician when you're playing live on stage. You're taping the cables, which are coming from your instruments, on the floor as a security measure, not to, when you jump around or sing or perform, that you're not, stumble. And and so and so I had a lot of duct tape at home, and I remember going to a museum exhibition, and in the museum exhibition it was like, "Is painting dead?" And that was a question. That was the title of the museum exhibition, and I was like, "No, painting is not dead. It just hasn't arrived into the 21st century." That's what happened so far. It hasn't arrived yet, really, to the new technologies and what we can do with technology, and but not even that. Like, so there was already the seed planted within me. Like, I want to do something with augmented reality, with virtual reality, with mixed reality. So that was the seed, 2016, 17, something like that. But then I was always on the side of, like, being a little bit subversive, a little bit like, on that part of the page, like, you know what, I'm using duct tape within my artwork. It's a painting. I'm glowing stuff. I'm doing collages. I'm doing mixed media, but going to the extremes of mixed media, maybe even sometimes, to do something different, to break up the narrative, to break up the used, I would say, pathways, and so I used this duct tape, as, instead of painting black, I used the duct tape, the black duct tape, and it was, for me, it was too black, so it was too passive or negative, and I wanted to do, and the other thing, I was really thinking about what is important within art, and if my art is saying one thing, what is it like? And it should be like a human emotion. It should be something where all of us can relate to, even if it's like good or with bad intentions, but it's still something human. So when you read it, you will understand right away, and you will have this association of like it has something to do with me. It has something definitely to do with me, and it relates to me as a human being. So that's how it just came to my mind. I have to write with white letters, haha, on the black duct tape. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning. It was a naive beginning, but then it expanded way further than that. And also, like, it's a reference to, I would say many times, it's a reference to our fast pacing dopamine lifestyle of like, it's all about joy and laughter and nihilistic approaches to existence here on Earth. So, which is it's like a critique. You can say it as a critique on the one side, but on the other side, it's a genuine laughter, and it became something else. It became like it became my tag. So basically, it's also a tag. It's like it's my code. It's my code line within my work, where the people will always recognize my work over that. So it's many things. It's not just one thing. I would say that haha. It's many things. It incorporates. You can say like it's a brand identity. It's so much. So it's all of that. And also my father gave me maybe that's something worth mentioning is like growing up, my father was always like giving me lectures about art and son, you have to pay attention to this, you have to pay attention to this, and so on. I was like super annoyed, but some of it stick to me. And for example, where he really pointed out to me like, look at Jasper Jones, the American painter. Look at Jasper Jones. What did he do within his work? The thing for he did a lot of different kind of art, but for what he really got famous for was he was painting the American flag in 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 different versions all of his life. And that's what like if you Google Jasper Jones, you will find the American flag painted in different ways. So that was kind of like that stick to me because that was something like there's so much noise, there are so many different kind of painters and artists, and they do different kind of work. But how do you stick out? How do you even get remembered for? For what do you get remembered for? And suddenly I just realized it. So that's it. For me, it's haha, and the people will always remember haha, and the person behind it. So yeah, that's the long answer.
Well, I think it's a great answer, and like you said, it's multi-layered, and it's there's no surprises there. So let's talk about this Venezuelan friend in Peru introduces you to crypto art, and Burst is born, and you said that that's where the monster began. I'd love for you to elaborate on that. What do you mean? Who is Burst? What's this monster that's being created?
I mean, he told me right away, dude, okay, you need a MetaMask wallet. Okay, then you have to write down your seed phrase. And it was this very, taking you by the hand and step by step going through the onboarding. And then he told me like, and you need a name. You need a name. And in this crypto thing, everybody is anonymous. And I said, like, really? What do you mean by that? But then it started to click for me like one plus one plus one. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I have to learn more about this stuff and what are the origins and Bitcoin and cypherpunks. And okay, it's about, like, it's about privacy. It's about having your own bank, having your own wallet. You are your own bank, and you have full control over your financial freedom, and maybe you want to protect it. And so in this new age of like the internet, the Web 2.0, I would say, is everything is transparent in the sense of like there's no privacy, and you are not owning your own data. So I love the lure of you have a mask or you have a separate identity which you play with in an artistic manner. Like you use it as a form of persona, as an avatar. And this is what brought me to creating this art figure. It's an art figure. Burst is an art figure. I'm playing with this character. It's a character. And also, I was a fan always of Banksy in a way, of course. Banksy did it in another way because you have to protect yourself from the police for doing a lot of graffiti and illegal stuff. But it was more than that for me. So I love that aspect of like privacy, protecting my own identity. And the question of like I was invited to Belvedere, the museum where they have the Kiss from Gustav Klimt, as a
Hmm.
speaker a couple of months ago, and I got asked the same question. And actually, the interviewer asked me like, "Are you Banksy?" And I said like, "No, no, no, no." But but why is it important for you to be anonymous? And I said like, "Listen, like I think." I want to answer it this way that what does anonymity mean in a new age where everything is transparent? Like, what does it mean? How much uh, does it mean to you or to me? So that's one question it's one question or one answer to the coin. That's the one part of it, and the other part of it is what I mentioned before is that playing with a persona, a character, molding it into a certain way, and using that as also part of the art. It's part of the art.
I agree, and obviously, burst is synonymous with haha, and we've just heard a little bit about both of those. Has burst evolved since burst began?
Yes, of course. I mean, in the beginning, it was very simple animations, I would say, and I was tipping my toes into animation and digital art. And then very fast, actually, I became a digital artist while being by starting very actively working on Super Rare. And I was almost not doing physical work anymore. I was just doing digital work. And then later on, I combined the two. So I did this kind of hybrid work where, and still today I'm doing that. So I'm always starting physical and manipulating it in a digitalization process, doing a hybrid work, mostly like mainly like where both exist, but they are sometimes dependent on each other, like with augmented reality. So you have basically the surface, and the key is your phone. With your key, you can unlock and open up the artwork and have the 100% of that. So and that's how I got into the narrative of the portals. So portals within my work is an important topic. That the artwork is a portal to higher dimensions of consciousness or experience. That's one aspect. Another aspect besides the haha, I would say, it's the portal theory or the topic of the portals, which unfolds if you are interacting as the observer. And then the observer effect. The When we go into quantum physics, I also very love quantum physics, and I'm a sci-fi fan, so so that's how I know about a different kind of theories and the problems within quantum physics or physics in general, where we still don't have answers to questions postulated like 100 years ago, and still today it's a very I would say important topic discussed a lot. Panpsychism is very big right now, as we know, and within those years now in crypto, like working with the medium, with different kind of mediums, it became an important side quest or side side narrative, I would say.
For sure. And yeah, tell us about, like you just said, we've sort of heard a bit of the evolution there, but what were you creating? What did you first drop on Super? And then I'll pull up some of what you've released on Bitcoin, and then we'll, start to make headway towards the yearbook. But yeah, I'd love to know about, even your thoughts, but when your friend in Peru said, this is crypto art, and then you've obviously are creating physically and digitally, so we've got this kind of hybrid, as you said it. Do you see a confluence? Do you see them as independent to each other? Like where do you sit on that? And tell us a little bit about where you started on Super, and then we'll have a look at some of your Bitcoin work before we look at the Ordinals Yearbook.
I mean, that power of crypto art, or let's say art on blockchain, using blockchains
Mm.
as a medium where you suddenly can create both, or let's say create the bridge between the digital and the physical, so to speak. And by lightning speed, like immediately in real time, that's the power to it, I would say. Where and also like the concept of tokenization, like suddenly you have the digital artwork or the representation to a physical, let's say, which is living on a blockchain, tokenized, right? And But that's it. That's just I would say a very plain and simple aspect to the whole story. The other thing is when we think about ordinals, that we work with code bases to enhance our work, or to work with different kind of layers, to create code based art and enhance let's say a static image or a static artwork by code to create something on chain. And for me, within ordinals, another aspect came to play, which haven't been so much at play in Ethereum, using the blockchain as a canvas itself, like using a haha wallet, using specific sets like haha sets to inscribe on, and then even with the haha cards, waiting for the haha block, like 801 801. So that was also another way where we wanted to showcase that 8181 as an alphanumerical representation of haha is also a sort of tag. It's also part of the tag. It's also part of the narrative, establishing the haha narrative on chain. So, but going back to maybe the super rare stuff. So yeah, in the beginning it was static stuff, simple animations. And then I would say after around 30, 40, 50 mints, everything sold out. I started to pivot into having the digital work minted on chain, on not on chain, but as an NFT on Ethereum. And the physical is a static work which lives in the physical world. And then I in the description I always mention that this NFT comes with the physical. And in the beginning I wasn't paying attention to, let's say, QR code, like QR code, yes, but not chips, like let's say NFC chips. But today it's possible that, like if I have a physical work, I put the chip, which is where the token, or in this case the ordinal, lives on. So the collector receives both, and it's always in combination to each other. So that's a different aspect to it now.
So let's have a look. These are some of the, you've got the haha cards. They're not up on this screen right now, but there's the glitch frames and Pepe haha and Michael Saha Hala, the haha couture. We've got the poster as well. So it's interesting. I was kind of waiting to bring this up. I love that you mentioned graffiti and that you almost tag your own art, and that you use the various like block heights and the data in pardon me, the data related to the sats and whatnot. All of this is kind of like a mark or graffiti. And it's funny, people who don't like ordinals have described it as graffiti on their Bitcoin. And then we've got these references to, I guess, crypto art culture with Pepe, and then also, I guess, Bitcoin culture with Michael Saylor. So I'd love for you to, talk to us a bit more about that. I'm assuming that thinking has come through.
If I do something with ordinals, it's rare. It should be rare. Number one, it's very selective. It's highly curated, and it's among my best work I do. Um, and so also I keep the prices. If I compare it now to other chains, like it's on the highest spectrum. It's the most expensive work is also on Bitcoin listed. So this is my approach to, like, because I'm kind of like chain agnostic, but for me, of course, Bitcoin is number one, and ordinals, because it's on Bitcoin and it's truly on chain, and I think it will continue to, like, change value systems. And it lives on Bitcoin. I mean, what is more to say than that? And Yeah, of course, here with the gamma pieces, memes are very important within crypto in general, but also on Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor, when I created that artwork, it was actually my very first artwork on Gamma. Um, he was just always in the news all the time, every day in the news, and he became this evangelist. He became this angel, this behemoth actually of Bitcoin, and pushing it into the institutional world, into Wall Street, and I think he will go down in history as one of those who brought it into the financial markets. Um, and Yeah, the haha couture is actually like that's a photo I took in the Peruvian desert, as where I did like a commercial for my merch box. I created a merch box in Peru before I left the country last year. So I'm living since 1 year. I moved back to Austria. We got a baby, my wife and me, here in Austria, and we decided to have the baby in Austria. But before leaving the country last year, in the first couple of months of the year, 2024, I decided to produce high quality, like designer clothes. I created a hoodie mainly. It started with a hoodie, and then it became actually to a whole merch box with a bag, with a hoodie, stickers, a cap, a haha cap, and all of it like on a very high level, like produced really like designer clothes, and yeah. That's that. So it's still for sale. There are like 50, only 50 editions on Gamma listed. We sold already a bunch. And for example, the museum even have some where I'm exhibiting right now. The poster, for example, is a poster about the museum exhibition. It's a guerrilla poster. There are only 81, never be produced more. And Yeah, that's also like a collectible. That's sort of like a true collectible because by collecting that print, you receive a real print. So you can claim yourself a real print, and you can give me like a fake address. So it's not about like collecting data or something. It's more like,
Hmm.
hey, I give you the opportunity. You can collect the print, the digital, and if you're happy with it, cool. But if you want to receive a physical one, you can claim it. You just hop on DMs with me, and I'm sending you over the physical print. Yeah.
I love that. Tell us more about the gallery in Austria because you have some pieces displayed there. I know that you also did you run a tour for some of your own art or for the gallery quite recently as well.
I mean, the exhibition I'm having is in a museum.
Hmm.
It's one of the most prestigious museums in Austria. Old school, that's really trad art. So the
Mm.
pictures you can see here, it's not a gallery exhibition. Although I'm talking right now with a gallerist. Now, this because this museum exhibition is opened some doors already. So it's really crazy how that works. And yeah, it's my first institutional solo exhibition in a museum. The museum is called Francisco Carolinum. It's a museum for media art and photography. So with media art, they're covering a bunch of stuff. Also digital art from like the 60s, 70s, up to the new revolution, the digital art revolution with blockchain related art. And so, the interesting aspect to me with working with a curator in a museum, working with a museum, establishing this high level, like top notch level exhibition, I learned a lot about my art myself. So it was really education for myself, like how they framed it into art history, how they framed it from a narrative standpoint. And it's you know the explanation. If you go, you can see like there's a huge introductory explanation about the exhibition, about me, my person. And the crazy thing, it starts, Burst, the media artist and musician. It started with that, and that was like they're not even saying crypto artist or blockchain artist. No, it's media artist, the media artist and musician Burst, and that was for me like, wait a minute, wow, that's interesting. That makes sense. That's very interesting. I'm working with different kind of media. Even within, let's say, crypto related stuff, I work with different kind of media. I'm using different kind of media to express myself with my art, right? So that's amazing. There are many these categories we are creating, where, oh, you're a crypto artist or you're this or you're that. Listen, I'm an artist first of all, and I'm using different kind of media for my art. So that's it in a nutshell, I would say. Like, it doesn't need to get too tribal about that. It's like, yes, mainly, like 99% I'm selling my art on blockchains. So on platforms using blockchain. Yes, that's true. But I'm open to expand on different kind of paths within the world of art, because I had a world also prior to entering blockchains or working with it. So yeah, the exhibition is running since 4 months, and it just got extended another week. And I got covered by one of the biggest daily newspapers of Austria. They had a magazine from the museum as a side letter, as a side magazine within that newspaper. It was a weekend edition, so it ran over 3 days. 2 weeks ago, and that's crazy because like one third of Austria is small, but but still like 3 million people potentially read about that exhibition, which is crazy to me. Like it's like a huge dream come true, also like a check mark. And yeah, and actually like, the posters, what I mentioned, the guerrilla posters on Gamma, because some of it are like available on Gamma, but some of it like in IRL. And those IRL, they're like sold out. Like I have to send now the museum a new batch of posters because they told me like, hey, last week they got sold out, so send us some more over. So that exposure in the newspaper, that was great. And also so far a lot of people came to the exhibition, saw it in the museum. Also, people who are from the thread art world and had no exposure, let's say, to crypto art or blockchain art. And that was really great, man. It's like a dream come true. This museum exhibition is really like a dream come true.
Yeah, you should be super proud of yourself. I think like you said, it's a huge, gigantic check mark. It's like well deserved, and it just speaks testament to you as an artist and the direction you're heading. And I love that they called you a media artist. The fact that you're using different media. I've spoken about it and I've posted about the fact that I hope that we get to a point where you can just say I collected some art and people can just think, oh, maybe it's physical, maybe it's digital. Like it doesn't cross their mind. We don't have to make that delineation every time. So I'm so glad that you said that. Look, before we have a look at Ordinals Yearbook, because we definitely need to soon, it would be a little bit remiss of us not to talk about, and I alluded to him a little bit earlier, your relationship and I guess partnership with, curator, and now I think he's a partner at Ancora. Stephen, is it Stephen Reese or Rice? I don't want to pronounce his surname
It's
incorrectly.
Rice. It's Rice.
Rice, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Stephen Rice. Yeah, he onboarded me actually to Ordinal. So it's plain and simple. He was the second mentor I had within the 6 7 years of my life on blockchains, or as a blockchain related artist. He first became one of my collectors on Ethereum, and then we had a lot of conversations. And in February 23, when Ordinals popped off, we had a lot of conversations. And because I had, I remember back then, like, hey, inscribe fast, fast, fast. And I was like, man, I have no idea what should I inscribe. I first need to understand the medium. I first need to understand ordinals. I won't just inscribe anything, like, just to inscribe something. So of course, later on, I would have loved to inscribe early on, but it's just out of the aspect of like having something early. But that wasn't my intention. So, my intention wasn't to be just early, but if I do something, I want to do it properly. I want to do it, after I understood the medium. So we had a lot of conversations, and actually he became kind of like a manager, like classic, like an artist has an art manager. And until today, he is this kind of person to me, like he's a manager, he's an agent, he's a friend. Of course, he's like one of my best friends now today. And supporter, like always supporting, believing in what I'm doing. And sometimes we are collaborators as well, like he's giving me a lot of input and like, listen, like what is if we do something into this direction, or hey, would you love to what do you think about this idea, going to this direction, something like that, so it's like almost like in the old days, 17th, 18th century, 19th century, like when artists start to work with supporters and managers. And so yeah, it's amazing because of course, like we both speak the same language, German. That's also, we come from the same background, socio-cultural background, but we live for many years now in this crazy world of crypto. And he has a deeper knowledge from an art historic background because he studied art history, and he worked with galleries, he worked with auction houses. And for me, that was so crucial and so important because I started to, from the get go, working on Bitcoin and ordinals, doing things right, which I maybe haven't done prior on Ethereum, like establishing like the parent-child tree very early on, looking for provenance, having a numbering system within the body of my work on ordinals, almost like galleries are working or like museums working. They have a numbering system, they have an archive, they create posts like, or like, let's say, articles. They work with institutions. They try to get the work into institutions. They try to get the work outside of a niche, let's say. And so all of that, we did all of that, and we're continuing to doing all of that, and that helped me a lot, and it also got me to this exhibition here in this museum. The networking. If one person is doing networking, that's one person. But if a second person is doing networking for a cause, that's just a multiplication of it. And that helped me a lot, really a lot.
Yeah, huge kudos to Stephen. He and I have developed a really strong relationship too, and he's a gigantic asset to you, but also, to the ordinal space on the whole. So when you listen to this, I hope that brings a smile to your face because I sincerely mean it. Well,
Yes.
now's the time. Let's have a look at it. We've got the Ordinals Yearbook. It's on signals right now. It's almost found full signal, 94%. So it's getting really strong interest. But, more so the collection. It's a collection of one of ones. There's the physical component. They're being displayed in that gallery in Austria. But we can see here, look, there's Stephen. Like you've told the story of, I guess, the first 18 months of Bitcoin ordinals. But yeah, tell us more.
Yes. Listen, it's like last year we inscribed the whole collection last year. I created the collection last year, and we wanted to wait for the right time to launch this. And when signals came around and Nick started to talk with us about it, it was just, yes, that's it. That's the right collection for the right platform. And yeah, the story is that it's the first 18 months of ordinals, that time frame, what happened within that period of time is in these 181 artworks. And I have different kind of categories, like the one is obviously the ordinals and inscription history, what happened in the first 18 months, like the very first inscriptions. I remixed those. So how I worked was, I used paper and I worked on that paper. So I colored the paper, I destroyed the surface sometimes, and I printed on it. So I use a new kind of technique what I haven't done prior to this. I started to experiment with different kind of printing techniques and print images or like here exactly. If you go down a little bit, handcrafted in burst last Peruvian studio. Yeah, this
Yeah, there
one.
we go.
So as you can see, so that was my last workspace before we moved to Austria. And so, for example, here in this piece about Nick Sabo, I had this paper and I painted the paper prior to printing on it. So I was like using different kind of like spray, acrylics, lacquer, different kind of stuff. And when you print upon such kind of surface, sometimes it goes well, but mostly it won't go so well because the printer will have a hard time to print on it. But this glitch, this kind of artifact, I loved it because this is how you get different kind of effects or different kind of depth or noise. And I loved to work with this kind of noise. Also, from a time perspective, like things are fading away over time. So with like as you can see, Halfini or Nick Sabo here.
Hmm.
Another category I have is Bitcoin history. Like Bitcoin and Satoshi history. So if you go more down, a little bit more down, down, down after the release. Yeah, so the collection spans 5 categories. So we have abstract work. There are only 14 works which are abstract, purely abstract work, which I created in the first 18 months. Then I have Bitcoin and Satoshi history, obviously like Hal Finney or Nick Szabo or Adam Back, a couple of like candidates. And then Haha art is works which have the signature Haha imprinted on them. Ordinals and inscription history is like everything related to ordinals and inscriptions within the first 18 months. And then Haha history is like the history of Haha itself. So, for example, I went to a lot of conferences. I went to meetups. For example, in San Francisco, I met with Casey. I did a workshop for creating haha masks, and he has now a haha mask at home. We did some photos together. I did photos of many OGs from the space, and I used those photos as a source material to work it into an artwork. If you go again very high up back to the top. Yeah, but anyway, like there are some artworks in this collection where you can clearly see, okay, wow, this is Casey or or
Yeah.
Ordinelli or like certain people who are highlighted. And I have to say this, so like if the people are asking, 135 pieces are available out of 181. That's for a reason. So I did kind of like an OTC pre-sale where 21 artworks got sold OTC. I gave to my favorite collectors the opportunity to get them firsthand. Also, the curator of the museum or other people who were very important within the last 6 months to me or 1 year, they got the opportunity to get in first. And actually, the museum. So if we go a little bit more
Yeah, we'll
down to
have a look.
the
Here we go.
yeah, yeah. So that's the museum exhibition. 36 pieces out of this collection are exhibited in this museum. Yeah, so that's a special thing because you can say this collection got first showcased in a museum before it got sold over a platform. So yeah, that's I think that's the first one. I'm not sure if anybody else did something like this before, at least in Ordinals. But I don't want to brag about it too much. But I'm a little bit proud. So I'm a little bit proud about that. I'm happy for the provenance of this collection that it got first, exhibited in a museum. Yeah, so much to that. I hope that answers most of it.
It definitely does. And I must say that I'm a proud owner of one of the early sold pieces. I chose the parent child piece because I also love that provenance. And when you mentioned it before, that spoke to me. So thank you for that opportunity. Look, I encourage everyone to jump onto Signals and to back this project because it's very special. Like you just said, it's being displayed in an exclusive gallery in Austria. Before it's sold, you're really buying or able to collect a piece of history. And yeah, you went through those categories. You know, I think that Bitcoin art, at least to me, is this sort of like storytelling, and this and it's on chain. You're preserving it, so you're preserving Burst, you're preserving Haha, but you're really sort of preserving history through the collection.
Yeah, 100%. That was for me one of the important parts of this collection. That's how I got to the title of the collection, Ordinals Yearbook, is because I wanted to highlight. That was the main motive, right? So that I wanted to highlight certain inscriptions, the first PFPs. It's a homage, to Ordinals as a general. Certain people who are very crucial and active in the beginning, stuff like that, and obviously I couldn't mention everybody, because there are so many more, but there's a reason why it's called number one, so so let's see how this performs, but if the people and the resonance is great, I'm gonna do a number two as well, of course, but for now, this is like, my way of saying thank you also to Ordinals, because it came, I have to tell you, like, it came into my life in a moment where I started to have doubts about continuing within crypto or within crypto art. I somehow got to a dead end, and then suddenly like Ordinals popped out, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like, if this really gets possible on Bitcoin, we have to rewrite the story, or the story continues at least, and in a very beautiful way. And Yeah, so that's the main, I would say, story behind it. There are some great, yeah. One thing I want to mention is, like, the museum is has two pieces reserved. So there are two pieces reserved, which they're gonna purchase for a premium. Actually, they're gonna pay way more than the OTC folks, for those two pieces. And also the people are asking, but hey, wait a minute, yeah, the OTC people got also the chance to choose, but they paid a premium for it. So that's the other thing. And there were honoraries, obviously, like Casey got an honorary, Steven got an honorary, Ordinelli, Aaron, the people, the core people behind the ref got an also, like, those I want to pay tribute and send them an honorary. So that's how we get down to 135 surviving for the market, so to speak. And there were also like 10 pieces which are very private, which are too private. So, like, for example, the ultrasonic picture of my baby, or my wife getting second degree burns, ending up in a hospital, being pregnant. Those are not for sale, obviously. Or Steven's kid painted a mask, and I took that photo and reworked it. That's for Steven and his family. So it's also a very personal collection. It's not just like it's for the degens 100%. It's a tribute to the OGs. But it's also very private. So, as I think a real yearbook should be, like, it's not just a showcasing of, like, look how great we are, but within that time frame, a lot of other things happened which are also very crucial, which got us to this point today. So
Totally, yeah.
yeah.
No, like you said, it's a yearbook, and it's culture, it's storytelling, it's preservation, it's something personal. I love it. So thank you so much for spending this time with us, Burst. It's been a real pleasure digging a little bit deeper and finding out, more of your backstory. And I guess, of course, there's always more to tell. But yeah, it was a great conversation.
Perfect, man. Wow, we really hit it perfectly now with the 1 hour mark. And thank you for the opportunity, Brad. I love Gamma. I love Signals. Love this community and Ordinals, of course. And I would love to invite people to place a bid, place a signal, and yeah, looking forward to share more pretty soon.
100%. Always got to finish with, where can people find you if they want to learn more about Burst, or perhaps even be able to connect with you?
I mean, the main social media I'm using is X,
Yep.
x.com/burst_cryptoart. And then I have a link tree there in my profile bio where you can see all the links, basically. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much once again.
Hey, thank you, man. Peace and out. Haha.
Ha ha.